Hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon, the little dog laughed to see vaguely scientific. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put me together again. I am Derek. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of Jim the scientist. Hi, Jim.
I was swimming in that well. They didn't need to fish me out. I was having a good time.
It's Jim-flavored water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm soup now.
Little Bo Peep has lost her sheep and doesn't know where to find them. Leave them alone and they'll come home unless they've gone to live with Allie. Hello, Allie.
Hello, I have so many little sheep in my brain.
If you count them, it'll help you go to sleep, I guess.
That's what I've been told.
Yeah. It's because sheep and sleep rhyme.
See, it's never worked for me
Oh.
because, I always wonder why all these sheep are here.
Who let them in there?
Who Let the Sheep In? Is the sequel to the...
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
You're right, though.
This, if you couldn't tell already, is the show where listeners send in questions to hear our vaguely scientific answers, and who knows, we might even get some of those answers right. But first, it's time for the fun science fact of the day. Jim?
All right. Polymerase chain reaction is a process that is used in labs to quickly replicate millions of copies of a DNA sequence. It's frequently used in forensics to produce enough DNA to get an accurate sample, and it's also used in medicine to quickly produce enough DNA to test for specific genes and diseases.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not that hard to do. I did it in college a couple times.
Oh, I was literally going to joke, so do it, but you did.
But you did.
Yeah, it's not as fun as it sounds, because what you're doing is you're just putting a sample in with a copy of the enzyme DNA polymerase that is designed to work in warm conditions, hotter than body temperature. And you sort of temperature cycle it so that it replicates, and then it heats up and it splits all the DNA pieces apart, and then it replicates, and then you just keep doing this over and over again until you got tons of DNA.
Do you get to use a centrifuge?
It depends on what you're doing with the DNA afterwards. Most of what I did was you put them in the gel block and then it separates those into the little lines that you see.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Gel electrophoresis is what that's called.
I'm very not knowledgeable about any of this stuff. I did the thing where you put your DNA in a little thing you can put on a necklace.
Oh, yeah.
But when I did it, somebody messed up the centrifuge that had mine. There were 2 batches for the class, and the one that I was in didn't work, and the professor didn't let us do it again, because presumably there wasn't enough time, which I don't buy, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not bitter. Well, speaking of DNA, we can talk about someone who has radioactive DNA today in our first question, which is, what is spider sense? Do spiders actually have it? How does it work? Are spiders psychic? I don't know if we count this as multiple questions. I feel like it's all kind of one rambling compound sentence.
Yeah. The questions go together regardless, because we're talking about Spidey. And the senses that come with him.
And the senses that come with him.
Yeah. The most interesting thing I was reading about the Spidey sense is that there's a supernatural aspect to it. It's like a psychic thing. It's like a precognition thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really interesting just because I would have expected them to have explained it away in some way.
Well, they have explained it to some degree, but it is very... I don't know. The first place I looked at it is what inspired this particular superpower in the spider-themed set of superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, the inspiration was there, and then they took it and made it psychic ability. I guess the idea originally comes from the fact that spiders, among various other insects, have feeling hairs on them.
Yeah.
they're so sensitive to movement that they can like detect if something is approaching them based on the change in like small gushes of wind.
Like air pressure. Yeah.
Like air pressure changes and stuff. Yeah. So I was interested in how long has Spider-Man had the Spidey sense ability.
Oh, interesting.
Because my first thought was, Jim, what you alluded to a little bit is like it's not really a spider ability.
Right.
As a matter of fact, he did have it in the first appearance of Spider-Man. It was one of his first abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was just kind of fascinating with how much of a leap that one is to, like, crawling on walls and shooting webs, I think are the easy ones. And then I guess super strength also makes sense because spiders are pretty strong. But yeah, spider sense, our spider's psychic, weird jump there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think it's kind of neat that you mentioned like the specialized hairs in that air pressure detection, because I seem to recall multiple different movies where before something happens, like they get like goose skin, right? Their hair stands up on end on their arm to like indicate like their spidey sense is tingling.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
We are very hairy creatures too, but we have much finer hair over most of our bodies. I wonder if the spider ability just accounts for all of that air pressure around us, and it just senses fast movement in a complete circumference around Spidey.
Oh,
that's an interesting take on it, because it has been done, and so to consider all of this canon is a bit of a stretch too, because we're talking about a comic book character who has been around since the 60s.
Sure.
Not every iteration of Spidey sense is consistent, but they don't necessarily contradict each other. They've just been reimagined several times. But that's interesting to put it that way, because I was looking at how is Spidey sense portrayed, and like what do they describe in world as what is happening. And the first thing that comes to mind is the quote, "My spider sense is tingling."
Yeah.
So it gives you the sense that there's that tingle. Well, what does that mean? It could absolutely be like the hairs on your forearm are sticking up and giving you the sense that something's coming to get you. But I've heard it described before where he says he gets a mild headache.
Oh, interesting.
That always seemed really counterintuitive to me.
Mm-hmm. I would think a headache would dull your senses.
Right? Like somebody's about to punch me. Oh, now I have a headache. Wouldn't that distract you from the danger rather than alert you to it?
I mean, I am a unfortunate chronic migraine haver, and I will say that oftentimes the triggers for things like that are loud environments or pressure changes, like barometric pressure changes. So, like, maybe a headache as an end result to the Spidey sense makes sense. It's like overwhelming your brain. But as a mechanism for defense, I'm not defending myself against anything when I have a headache.
Right. So I think that was a poor description for how the power should work based on what. So,
well, actually, it's weird. Ahead. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but before we leave headaches behind, I think it's kind of interesting because of all things in Mobile Suit Gundam, specifically the original like UC timeline, Universal Century, there are these folks that are called new types, and they're sort of supposed to be like the next evolution in human evolution, and they have some vaguely psychic powers and something that is very akin to a spider sense, I would argue, because they sort of have like a precognition that they can sense when they're being attacked, or they can dodge really fast from beam rifle shots or whatever. But if there are too many new types in one place, there's often this psychic pressure that then gives them a headache, and it actually ends up dulling their senses. So it's kind of funny that came up, even though it's totally unrelated, but it's because it just sounds like being a new type in Gundam.
Well, it's the more intuitive effect of having a headache, right?
Yeah,
I had forgotten that in order to pilot Gundams, they need to have some kind of psychic ability, right?
No, it's just that a lot of the best pilots tend to have that.
Oh, okay. I knew there was something about psychic stuff. I didn't watch Gundam.
It makes you better at piloting, is what it does, because you know when to dodge.
It also makes you psychic.
It makes you psychic, so you'd probably be good at a lot of things.
Yeah. Not very good at controlling your emotions, surprisingly. Or unsurprisingly, I don't know.
You must be an empath, I guess.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
You're feeling other people's emotions.
That's kind of the crux of it. Spidey's never done that, right?
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't count
confidently say that. I don't know. I'm not as well versed on Spider-Man as I am on other characters, but so I looked up, as I said, how long Spider Sense, like when the first appearance of that ability was in the comics, and there is a little bit of debate about that because it is mentioned that he has heightened senses in the very first issue. And there is a panel of he's exploring what happened to me, what are all these powers, what's happening to my body, and there's honking off behind him as a car is speeding toward him. And in the very next panel, he leaps out of the way of it. So the caption actually reads, wrapped in his thoughts, Peter doesn't hear the auto, which nearly misses him until the last instant, and then unnoticed by the riders, he unthinkingly leaps to safety. So that's supposed to be the first time he had kind of a what do you call it? A reflex reaction to danger, which I think that kind of makes sense. It's an unconscious reflex to something approaching him rather than a precognition. But then there are people who have suggested that isn't the first instance of spider sense. That's just the first instance of his super reflexes, which I'm like, okay, well, you're splitting hairs a little bit maybe, but another introduction, I don't know what issue this is, but it's shortly after. There is an issue where the chameleon is up to no good, and he says, Spider-Man has the powers and instincts of a spider, so I will send him a message that only his spider senses will be able to pick up, which is blatantly ripping off Superman. But that's aside the point. Anyway, the next panel shows us Peter Parker in a lab with spiders for some reason, and it says, and miles away at a neighborhood museum. Oh, he's in a museum, I see, okay. Miles away at a neighborhood museum where Peter Parker is studying the spider exhibit. This is his thought bubble. Someone is trying to contact Spider-Man. I can sense the frequency waves. This is supposed to be the first moment where he has spider sense. Now, I don't know if spiders can transmit or interpret radio frequencies. I feel like they probably can't, but that seems to be what they're suggesting here. And that is very different in tone to reacting to danger. That is like actually hearing a message from miles away. It literally says miles away. So that's where, like, what exactly is spider sense? I don't think they even know.
Yeah, that sounds so Silver Age. I barely know.
62, I think.
Oh yeah, I barely know. What difference between silver and bronze. I sort of know more about like what makes the Golden Age separate than the other two, but I do know enough to know that Silver Age got kind of wacky there in the middle.
Yeah.
I feel like that doesn't really even count as like a spider sense because the way that it behaves in the modern era, and I mean, I guess it's probably gone through some iterations, but like to me, it always felt very much like it was a danger sense where something around him would set it off and then he could react to it. That's just being psychic.
That's just being psychic. The last citation of the various media I have in my notes anyway, I remember in the 90s cartoon, which is my introduction to Spider-Man, Spider Sense was always depicted. I think this might be where the headache comment comes from, but I'm not positive. But I know that it was always depicted as this like noise, and the screen would flash, where it would almost suggest that Spider-Man is having a flash of like the face of the villain that's about to attack him or something, which always kind of gave the idea that not only does he sense danger is coming, he has some kind of intuition about what that danger is. So that's kind of merging the two. Like it is still this in the moment reaction, the danger sense kind of thing, but it's also still clearly a clairvoyant kind of idea.
Yeah.
Where it's like you see the future, but by 2 seconds. So you have to like really act on those 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I also wonder, and I feel like I've brought this up on the podcast before, so I apologize, if it has to do with the rate in which spiders perceive time versus the rate in which humans perceive time.
Oh,
I like that.
Getting a little bit of almost a stopgap between the spider abilities, which would affect how he perceives reality, and the humans around him, or there's a crocodile in Spider-Man, right?
There's a lizard.
Lizard guy, yeah. And how, like, lizard guy would perceive reality, and the other humans would perceive reality. That relies a lot on sight, but if he has that air pressure sensation, maybe he doesn't sense directly who's there, but based on the size, the movement, how much air is moving, how that air is moving, his brain makes those connections in an instant. And because of that variance in that reality perception, he can act faster.
Yeah, I really like that. I'll say I've personally never seen it described that way, but I think it should be.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that is a cool way to interpret it.
And it's how spiders do their hunting, right? They're
right, yeah, that makes sense.
They can react fast because their prey is also fast, right? They're hunting flies, which have a extremely high fusion flicker frequency, whatever. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
One of those. And I like that because it kind of fits in line with, I don't know, most of Spider-Man's original abilities, or the idea is you look at a spider and what can it physically do?
Yeah.
And how would that translate to a person? So shooting webs is a thing. It's not really one of his powers, but it's a thing they added to the character. And then crawling on walls. Those make sense. And then super strength, I feel like that would be true of any insect or arthropod related character, is because we all know that bugs can lift several times their body weight.
Yeah.
And I always justified being able to jump around the room. Like, I know they quote jumping spiders a lot, but I think just if you have super strength, you can probably jump real high.
Yeah.
As long as you don't skip leg day.
Yeah. That's fair.
Unless or you could jump with your arms.
Especially when you have 8 legs.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Can't skip leg day. You're all legs.
It's like being all thumbs.
But yeah, so I guess the point I was trying to get at is I think that description of how spider sense works, unless you wanted to specifically say the hairs on his arm are now acting as feelers, like you're describing it in a way that kind of translates to an actual thing about spiders, which I really like.
Yeah. And I'm honestly a little bit surprised that's not what they ended up going with, because spiders are very quick and they have great reflexes.
Yeah.
And it's all because of all the little bits and pieces that kind of make them very aware of their environment. And that's not even to mention the fact that they can sense the vibrations just through their whole web too.
Right.
So I'm really surprised that they chose to go with sort of like a precognition dealio instead of just hyper aware senses.
I don't want to say they necessarily haven't, because that may have been a thing that happened in the comics. It's easier to describe that sort of thing in text, whereas in a movie, for example, like the Tobey Maguire movie, it was easy to slow down time and show us a matrix view of the whole hallway. Which I guess is the closest to that. But then in the old cartoon, like I said, how are they going to explain to us that he has perceived danger other than showing us the danger?
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the medium that we view it in or receive it in as well. And I also think that it might be, I don't think a lot of people would understand at a glance that time and reality for spiders is different than it is for us.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the first thing that came to my mind that kind of supports that thought is that has been described in Flash comics as how the Flash perceives the world.
Oh.
And so my first thinking is if they went in that direction it's only a short hop from there for Spider-Man writers to then start saying, well, Spider-Man also has super speed, it turns out.
It just turns out that the super speed is human speed because it's spider speed sped up.
Because it's, yes.
Or slowed down.
Spider speed. Or one of those.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you meant.
Yeah. But I thought that was neat. And I know that there are some interpretations as well where it's the array of eyes for spiders being able to see behind them. And like,
yeah, that makes sense.
Spider-Man doesn't get extra eyes unless he does, and we just don't see them. Like, I don't know.
It depends what you read, because there was the whole extra mutation arc where he turned into more of a spider.
Actually, that was one of the things that I was looking at too, was just that with them being able to see such a wide area of their environment, that can also just give them that little extra boost that we certainly don't have.
Yeah.
With our front-facing eyes.
And that's where, I don't know, I think about this a lot. When I was a kid, a little bit to this day, I always had this kind of my own superhero universe where all of the characters in the universe, all of the superpowered characters anyway, were inspired specifically by an animal. Mm-hmm. So it would be like, I don't know, there's a chameleon that has the ability to turn invisible. My favorite is a character named Beetle, who has basically a big exoskeleton shell and the ability to shoot explosive blasts out of wrist cannons, which is based on the bombardier beetle.
Yeah.
But in my head, I was like, well, let's look at... Oh, I remember. Invisibility is the specific one, because at one point in my development as a superhero creator, I decided, well, tigers, right? What's special about tigers? Well, they're big cats, so they could be like strong Wolverine kind of character, but that seems kind of like anything could be that. Any animal could be that. Sure. And then I was like, well, tigers are striped, right? So they have camouflage. What if he has invisibility powers? And that's where you kind of get to how much of this is like based on a scientific connection to the animal, which Spider-Man always was meant to be, versus a mystical interpretation of the romanticized animal. So the whole reason I went on that tangent is spiders have a big field of vision. Does that translate to Spider-Man in a way other than giving him extra eyes? And like, I don't know that it should.
No.
That might be a way that they explain it.
I think if he doesn't get the extra eyes, he doesn't get the increased range of vision. That's not fair.
I think that you're right. Yeah. You gotta take the good with the bad.
Yeah. You're either a freak with multiple eyes or you get normal vision. Like, you gotta pick.
I think it's really neat that they gave him that power to begin with, though, because when I see spiders out in the wild or in my basement or whatever, they are really good at evading and hiding. Every once in a while, I don't know if I assume it's a different spider, but there's a little teeny black spider that appears in this little crack in the wall right above my washing machine, and it will stay right at the lip of the crack, and I'll walk over and I'll kind of like look close, and it will retreat back into the hole really fast, like so fast that I'm not even sure I see it, because it's black on black. The crack in the wall is black and the spider itself is black, and I'm just so impressed by that, because I don't even get close and it runs, and I think that's neat.
Yeah, they're such interesting guys. I love them.
The last thing that I wanted to mention, because it throws a wrench in the work, and I want to talk about black spiders here, I want to mention venom.
Yes.
Oh.
It throws a wrench in everything we've been talking about, because something that they added to Venom's character, and it is explained because Spider-Man wore the symbiote suit before Eddie Brock became Venom. Venom does not trigger Spider-Man's spider sense.
Oh.
That doesn't make any sense unless it is psychic ability.
Huh.
Disagree. Here it comes. Are you ready, Derek?
Okay.
Why would a spider know how to evade an extraterrestrial?
Oh.
What?
I forgot it was an extraterrestrial.
Why would a spider know how to evade a person?
Well, because we evolved together on Earth. And Venom it probably moves differently. It probably gives off different pressure waves that, like, a spidey sense may not activate that's a threat.
I will buy that if,
If?
and this is me calling Todd McFarlane out,
Okay.
if they specifically say Venom knows how to avoid Spider-Man's spidey sense and therefore does it on purpose. I would accept that.
Okay.
I do like that.
What if, because Venom is just sort of goo, right?
Well, the symbiote is goo, and Venom is the combination of Eddie Brock and the goo.
Yeah.
Goo.
So,
but that's not even true anymore. I don't know.
What if the symbiote can sort of like vibrate its outer layers in such a way that it negates sort of the pressure wave that it could produce that Spidey would pick up on? And being that it was in Spidey's head, it sort of knows what Spidey is able to sense, basically, if that makes any sense.
Ooh.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
It's also a parasite, no?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess technically it's a symbiote.
Yeah.
But
but yes. Yes. It's that, and it's also that. I think of the cordyceps and parasites that can control. I wonder if, because again, it was in Spider-Man initially, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it did kind of what Jim said and learned the ability and how to counteract it by witnessing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if the writers have ever addressed that.
Yeah,
there's too many comics.
I absolutely there are a lot of comics, and all of this stuff might have already been covered by some, but I've never heard it, and therefore it's worth talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, I would absolutely buy that if it was that the Venom symbiote was doing it on purpose because it knew how. I like that a lot. And I guess I haven't really thought about it from that direction. If, in fact, the comics have said that, good on them. Listeners, if you can direct me to a source where that is explained in canon, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Not with money, but I'll accept it.
The weird thing is that there are so many different canons to Spider-Man at this point, and so many comics, even barring that, because it's been running since, 62?
Yeah.
So it's older than Doctor Who.
And that is so much more.
Yeah, Doctor Who is 63.
Oh, I thought Doctor Who was from the 50s. Okay.
Yeah, General Hospital, also 1963.
Oh, these are all, young IPs.
Yeah, exactly.
Batman's over here you whippersnappers.
Oh, true. Yeah, good point.
And remember, spiders are friends, even if you don't like them. They're friends.
Yeah.
Spiders are friends. I like spiders quite a bit.
I like spiders.
Do you guys think that Australian Spider-Man would be, gigantic?
I think Australian Spider-Man would be the same size, but proportionately 32 times stronger.
I think Australian Spider-Man, because we know friendly neighborhood Spider-Man,
Sure.
And in America, we always tell people, actually, if you leave spiders alone, they aren't going to hurt you. But in Australia, you're not supposed to tell people that because the spiders actually can hurt you there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Australian Spider-Man is a villain.
Oh.
And there's a J. Jonah Jameson sort of analog down there who continually advocates that the vigilante is a good guy.
I love that. Marvel, we're for hire. We're cooking
If I see that
here.
come out, I'm citing this episode of this show to prove you all heard it from me first.
The only other tap that I had was Miles and his Venom shock, which doesn't make sense to me. And I just really, it's a nothing thread. I just wanted to put it out there and see if you guys had a reason why he could use electric venom from Spider.
I want to do a quick Google search for something very specific before I answer you.
I can make up something if that's okay.
it.
Static electricity from all the spider hairs rubbing against one another.
Interesting.
That's nonsensical and not true, but that's the one I'm going with.
I mean, I know that it's a trope that a lot of black superheroes have electric powers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a very interesting history behind that I don't have time to go into. But it's fascinating. But so the reason I originally assumed that was the case, and I just wanted to verify what the actual answer was, and it is in fact what I thought.
Great.
So they call it the spider sting. So my interpretation of it is McGill O'Hara, the Spider-Man from 2099, has literal fangs.
Yes.
Which he can bite people and inject people with venom. And the idea was he didn't get his powers in the same way that Peter Parker did, so it would make sense that he has kind of slightly different powers. And I thought that was interesting. And they wanted to kind of do the same thing with Miles Morales. So the two things they gave Miles Morales were the electric shock and invisibility.
Yes.
I personally think both of those are less connected to spiders than the rest of the spider canon.
Okay.
But I always kind of assumed that the spider sting was an effort to make it so that he could deliver a paralyzing spider bite without literally having to bite people, because that was always weird in the 2099 comics.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I kind of accepted it, but I don't know where that comes from in spiders, and what I learned was that the way they explain it in the comics is that the spider that bit Miles was genetically engineered by Norman Osborn and had electric abilities and optical camouflage. So that's how they explain it. The answer is that even in comic lore, it isn't a natural spider ability.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm satisfied with that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Listeners, let us know what other weird things do you want to have explained about Spider-Man, because I don't know that we've ever really talked about Spider-Man that much on this show, and there's a lot to talk about. But in the meantime, I think we should shift over to a radically different franchise. Question 2 this week is, what animals aren't Pokémon yet? My immediate answer is all of them. All of the animals that actually exist are not Pokemon.
Right.
I mean, yeah, but also no.
But also no.
I think in the spirit of the question is what animals have they not translated into a Pokemon type creature?
Or used as design base.
Yeah.
Jim, I am staunchly against fun. There will be no fun.
Only
had.
literal
interpretations.
This shocked me. I would come up with an animal in my head and be like, oh yeah, that's a great one. And then immediately I'd be like, oh no, they did do that. Oh, manatee. No, dugong.
Yeah. I forgot that dolphins finally came out, because that was just the last one, Gen 9.
Yeah.
I am very relieved that I am not the only person who had that experience, because going into this, I know I don't know much about Pokemon post Gen 1.
Mm-hmm.
Here and there I've picked up more, but it was very much I would think, I don't think there's one of this animal. The first one I thought of was a giraffe.
Mm-hmm.
There's a giraffe Pokemon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that this week.
Giraffe-rig and Farigiraf.
Yeah.
So there's 2.
Yeah, it evolves.
Yeah. See, I didn't know that even.
That's a new development too.
But going into it, I was I'm having a really hard time with this, but I assumed that both of you knew more Pokemon than I did and figured you'd already know the ones that I'm going to stumble over.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm a little relieved to hear that I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I had a surprisingly difficult time, and I am not I don't know, I don't know every Pokemon. I kind of fell out a little in the Sun and Moon era, and I know the new ones, but I'm one of those millennials that still struggles with the fairy typing matchups. I don't know. It's been 10 years. It's been more than 10 years. I don't know what fairy is weak against.
Dragon.
No, dragon's weak against fairy.
Yes. Dragon is weak against fairy. Steel is strong against fairy.
Is it? Okay.
Yes. That
Oh, that
I
actually
remember.
makes sense because of like iron being a common thing. That
Yes, that's the only
Yeah.
one I can remember.
That's cool.
Okay.
But I have 3. One that I went full on and designed, and 2 that I can just talk about. But Derek, since you are not as big of a Pokemon head, do you want to go first so that you can talk about what you discovered first?
I can go into some of my things. I have a few. So, full disclosure to the listeners, and I invite all of you to do this as well. But more on that actually later is another thing I want to bring up. But when we agreed to discuss this question for this episode, Allie presented us all a challenge to take an animal that does not have a Pokemon based on it and design it ourselves, which was, of course, an optional thing. But I decided to go full out into that.
Yeah.
I came up with a few that I didn't end up actually designing, but will absolutely tell you kind of the process until I get to my actual one.
Sure.
So let me tell you where I started. And I know that specifically Justin disagrees with me about this. I don't know what both of you think.
Okay.
I think frogs are goodly shaped.
Oh, not about that. I would not give any... I don't give a platform to any dissenting opinion on that. Frogs are goodly shaped. What alternative is there? So every generation of Pokemon has what is referred to colloquially as the regional bird Pokemon.
Yes.
I am always a fan of this, and I know that it is popular for people to say there are too many bird Pokemon. That this was Justin's opinion.
They're wrong. Justin thinks this?
He's the first person I heard say it, and then I learned
man.
that is apparently a common opinion.
You've started a fight offline.
I have to quit my job.
Okay, well, there are not enough. Well, so that was kind of where I jumped in. I was like, one of the reasons I like that there is a regional bird Pokemon every time, and one, in fact, would like there to be more, is because birds are one of the most evolutionarily successful species in the world. And that's why in my backyard, I still see new kinds of birds I didn't know live around here every single day.
Yeah.
And so I would love to take, like, Pidgey is some kind of thing. Pidgey and what's the other one? Spearow.
Yeah.
What about orioles? What about finches? What about doves? What about thrushes? All of these. I know that there's some dove ones and later. My point is, I was very tempted to find a bird, but ultimately it came down to a design choice. And I was just like, well, I don't know if I want to design a bird, but that's my argument is I defend the regional bird Pokemon. I'm a big fan of them every single time.
Yes.
I think it's neat because they tend to be different now. I feel like at the beginning there were a lot of overlaps, but I mean, now you have your Rookidee, you have your P-Dove, I think was not super recent, but I do like it because it's a dove. So.
Yeah, it's a little mourning dove looking thing.
Hoot Hoot was Gen 2.
Yes. I think the more recent one was Kilowattrel, which is like a little seabird that's electric.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
That thing was cool.
So I found some less common, but like more, I guess I would say iconic birds that to the extent of research I did not see represented in Pokemon. I found 3, the flamingo, the peacock, and the hummingbird.
With the peacock, I'm gonna look at something here. What the heck is the name of that thing?
I could be wrong. You know,
I don't know if this counts as a peacock, but I'm gonna send it to you. Okay. Does it say what it is? Well, I mean, I'll have to look, but I'm gonna put it in the Discord chat, and then you can tell me if this is a peacock or not. Because I thought this was a peacock. Because I thought peacock too, and now
it's a duck.
It's a duck.
Quackhovel.
Oh, yeah. Okay. This is getting into there's like various humanoid Pokemon too, and it was really hard for me to separate those from anything other than humanoid.
Well, then there does need to be a peacock Pokemon because I want that.
Okay.
I mean, I want them to get into a dance off with Quackhovel, or however you say it. Quaquaval.
Quaquaval.
Yeah, it is a duck. I don't know why I question that, because its name is Qua.
Yeah. It comes from Quaxley.
Yeah.
I've never heard. What generation is it?
That's
Generation
the most recent
9.
one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because that was my starter, and I chose it because I liked Quaxley, and I didn't look at any of the evolutions, so I was like, boy, I sure hope this doesn't turn into something stupid.
Well.
And I won. I got the one I wanted, absolutely.
I'm glad you like him.
It reminds me of, there's this professional wrestler named Dalton Castle, and it reminds me of him.
Oh, I love that for you.
Is the latest, what is the fire type of the latest generation?
That is, it's a fire crocodile named...
What is that thing's name?
He's cute. It has a little hat.
Yeah. I would argue that all of them this gen ended up being pretty decent.
So the last generation I was aware of, the fire type was a rabbit.
Yes.
So I don't know how long ago that was.
That was only Gen 8.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that was the last one. Okay. Like the one before.
That's
it, yeah. I like Skeledirge.
Oh, I've never seen that before. Okay, I am not aware of this generation of Pokemon.
He cute.
It's a big old alligator. That's probably the one I'd pick, too. I don't know. I don't even know what the...
I was worried they were all going to turn into, like, people that were ugly, like Incineroar.
I was getting tired of the people Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and which is weird because I used to really like Hitmonchan. When it was a novelty, it was fine.
I just like my Dalton Castle duck.
Dalton Castle duck. When there's trouble, you call.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so I got off birds after that. I really did try to design a hummingbird. Because there are hummingbirds in my yard sometimes, and I was like, oh, that'd be kind of neat to do.
I put hummingbird down too, yeah.
I did also.
So but I ultimately just, and this was me having the artist problem of nothing I'm drawing is coming out in a way that I want it to look. So I said, okay, I'm going to look at other stuff other than birds. And I started looking into the things that I thought were really interesting about Pokemon, which is, I like that the original story is that the creator of Pokemon used to collect bugs.
Yeah.
So I thought bugs are similar to birds in that way. There are tons of bugs. What's a bug that I've never seen represented? And I didn't do this one. And there's a reason. I've never seen a stick bug Pokemon. But with the existence of grass type and the fact that there is a literal tree that is a Pokemon, I don't think it's necessary to have a stick bug. So that's why I vetoed that. So, moving on. What do I genuinely like about Pokemon? I personally really love the lore behind a lot of the Pokemon that are based on mythology.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay.
I almost tried to tie that in, and I was like, so I did come up with one. I came up with the Centrubadar, which is a Hitmonchan with Ponyta's 4 feet.
Oh.
With Ponyta's for feet? Just to clarify.
Oh, I'm so upset about that.
Derek, did you draw this?
I did not draw it.
No!
Now
I did not draw this. That
You've
was
got
the
3
first
weeks.
one I drew something that I am happier with. I did genuinely think of just doing a really sloppy cut and paste thing and putting it in the Discord. But no, I didn't. This is not the one I ultimately ended up designing, but I thought, so there's my mythology.
Okay.
I looked at Griffin because, to my knowledge, there is not an official Griffin Pokemon.
Correct.
And I thought, oh, that'd be really cool. That could be like a legendary Pokemon or something.
Yeah.
And this brings me to, I discovered a whole community of people who make kind of deviant art type things that are called Fakemon or Fakemon.
Fakemons.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just all homebrew custom Pokemon, which just wanted to do a shout out to that because I think that's such a cool idea.
Yeah.
But in that community, I Googled Griffin Pokemon. There are so many that look so cool
Oh.
I was like, I'm not even going to try. They nailed it already. Griffin is covered better than I could do.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I started thinking, maybe I'm getting away from the spirit of the question, trying to do mythology, because, like, you know, a lot of Pokemon are based on various yokai and different, and like dragons, like literal dragons. And
For sure.
so I stuck on it, but I thought, well, maybe I should try to pick an actual animal. So I resorted to Googling what are the most notable animals not to have Pokemon based on them.
Mm.
There is a list. This is a Googleable thing. You'll find several top 10 lists out there. One that kept recurring, and one that struck me as, why didn't I think of that before? The moose.
Yay!
Yeah, that was the first one on my list.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I thought it would be perfect for Sinnoh, actually, because that's a very northern-esque. There's a lot of forests. There's a lot of cold. I thought about that one a lot, actually.
Oh, I love
That's very interesting. As
that.
it took. So once I finally discovered that, moose are always a contender for my favorite animal. Everyone who knows me knows I don't like to pick a favorite animal, but they're on the list of just always considered.
Top tier.
Top tier animal, really. I don't know. Like, I'll never get to ride one, but I don't have to, because that would be disrespectful to the moose.
Mm.
But so that's the one I finally settled on. I was like, I have an idea. I have a concept for a Pokemon I want to design. But the first thing I saw when I wanted to try to design a moose Pokemon was Stantler.
Oh.
Stantler is an elk Pokemon, or a deer.
Yeah. Elk, yeah.
An elk. And I looked at that and I was like, I don't want to do a quadrupedal moose, because I feel like nothing I can do is going to make it look too different from that.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to incorporate various things. Like, let's look at Gen 1. Let's look at Squirtle, right? Squirtle is not a turtle. Squirtle is a squirrel turtle.
Wait,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
Look at the tail. Look at the tail, Jim.
Yeah,
That's
but
it.
that's its English name is the problem.
I accept it still. I don't know. It has a
I think it's a
squirrel tail.
squirting turtle.
It's that too. That's, you know, you're furthering my point, Jim. You're furthering my point. You don't even know it. So there are levels.
Oh,
there are
boy.
levels to the names, the uses of plays on words.
We got boxes full of Squirtles.
We got boxes full of Squirtles. We got plays on words. We got levels. We got references to different cultures, different mythologies. This is what's cool about Pokemon. I don't play
Yes.
the games. I don't play the games, but I like the references to the cultures. So, what did I do with Moose? Okay, my first thought was, I know I said I didn't really like the humanoid Pokemon, but what if I did a half humanoid Pokemon? What if I did Moose that is bipedal,
Uh-huh.
has hooves, but its
Yeah.
upper body, it has arms. It's a Minotaur. It's a Minotaur Moose. So I was like,
Minotaur moose, Derek.
I like that a lot.
sticking with the playing on words. This thing is called Minotaur,
Ooh.
which is like mini, but Minotaur, Minotaur. So the idea, concept for this little guy, big head,
Yeah.
huge antlers,
Hmm.
has trouble walking because the antlers weigh it down, so it has to kind of drag its head to one side,
Hmm.
but grows up, or evolves, as the
Mhm.
kids say, into a ground fighting type by the name of, and I present to you now,
Oh, is it going to drop in the Discord?
Maxitus.
Oh.
Maxitus.
That's cool.
Maxitus. That is the evolved form
Mini-
when it gets strong enough to lift its head.
Maxitus.
It doesn't skip neck day.
Oh!
It does not skip neck day. So I don't generally like referencing, images, because this is an audio show, but this
Sure.
picture is going to be provided in the show notes on our website. And I also will say, dropping the same day as this episode of Vaguely Scientific, there is a YouTube video of a screen capture of me designing and drawing this image.
That's awesome.
Yay!
There you go.
I love that.
So that's what I finally settled on as my custom moose Pokemon.
That's so cool.
I love that.
That's better than mine, which was just, it's a moose. And I will say that I went through a similar trajectory with mine. Did I give it a name? I think I gave the first one a name. And, I called it Elkies.
Aw.
So you actually did settle on moose?
Yeah, well, I did 3, but one of them was the moose, and I thought it would be really fun if it was like a very small, like compact moose, and it had giant antlers, and just because I felt like it would look cute, it can just hold up these giant antlers that are like the size of its body, and then it would sort of evolve into more of like it grows into its antlers, basically. I think they deserve to be Pokemon. Get them in that game.
Yeah.
Game Freak, call us.
We need a Canada Pokemon.
I was never able to get a design for the Minotaurus, the smaller version that I was happy with. Mm-hmm. So that's still out there. But
I love that.
So in this design challenge, I really tried to emulate the style of Pokemon. I don't necessarily think I did a great job with that, but I did try. Mm-hmm. Something that I love about Gen 1 Pokemon art, and this is where I lose the younger audience, but I really like the coloring. It's like this pseudo kind of faded, almost watercolory.
Yeah.
And I just really liked that, and I was not really able to emulate that, but I tried.
I went on such a similar trajectory that I drew 3, and I put it in a few group chats. And I was like, which one should I lock in on? And one of them is a hummingbird. One of them is a moose. And the one that got settled on is neither of those two.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I wanted to kind of stick to, again, creatures that I know and that are from the States, because I feel like there's not a lot of Pokemon that are after animals from the States. There's a few.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But the more I dug, the more I was like, well, there is an eagle. It doesn't look like a bald eagle, but it's an eagle. There is a vulture. It doesn't look like a turkey vulture, but there is a vulture.
Okay.
Okapi, right? It's not an American animal, but it's my favorite animal. But Giraffarig looks like an Okapi.
Oh, fair enough, yeah.
It has the shorter neck, and Farigiraf looks like the giraffe version of that. So I was like, I'm not going to touch that.
I was going to say drowsy, but that's a tapir.
Correct. Yeah. That is a tapir. And then I went on, a very similar journey where I had mentioned this to Justin today, where I was like going back and forth on what to do. And he's like, well, Pokemon can be anything. You could just like get some haunted coins and it's a Pokemon. And I'm like, yeah, but the spirit of the question is animal. What animal has been neglected? And I found the perfect kind of mesh of my beloved trash animals and my beloved trash game. So I went with the American opossum.
Ooh,
oh.
I thought about raccoon for a while, but Zigzagoon I think is supposed to be a raccoon dog, but it's close enough that I didn't want to touch it. So my other trash animal is the opossum. And I thought it would be neat for it to be like a dark type or a normal dark type. And to have some kind of ability, almost like there's an ability called Sturdy, where you can get knocked down to 1 HP and still survive. But it's the opossum, so it's like Play Dead, where it can get knocked down to 1 HP, but it only has 1 round left to do its big last hurrah before it gets KO'd. And I just love these guys. So I'm going to drop in Impostum.
Oh. That's cool. I like that a lot.
So it can play dead and kind of like survive big hits, just like opossums can. And I didn't leave it in that design feature, but when its eyes open all the way, they're actually X-shaped. So it goes like wide-eyed and it looks like it has X's in its eyes. So it looks like it's dead. I don't know. This was such a good creative challenge, but also a good reminder that there are so many Pokemon. Like, we're
There's
over 1,000. There's far too many. And I kept going back to being like, oh yeah, turtle. No, we've got like a million turtles, but they're not
right?
Galapagos turtle. Like there is so many different moving parts that came into consideration while looking at this. I'm just like really thankful for the question and the creative outlet. Do you guys want to see the other two that I didn't go with?
I absolutely do.
We all settled on moose. I did not expect that.
Well, I feel like moose is just such an iconic animal, especially in North America, that in a lot of ways I'm really stunned there isn't just like a proper moose. Ooh. Ah, that's cool. I love the hummingbird.
Yeah, I like the whole thing. I don't know. I was going to isolate a part, but I like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just don't look at that little doodle in the bottom right left-hand corner.
I actually love the little
directly.
Oh, I thought that's what we were talking about. That's great. No, you hit. So what I did in my attempt to emulate the Pokemon style, I simplified my drawing so much that I continued to think, I don't know if this is... I don't know. I look at it and I still feel like it's just not enough detail on it. And but looking at a lot of the Gen 1 Pokemon, they're usually very simplistic.
Yeah.
And I think your hummingbird design hits kind of that balance of adding so much detail but still looking like it could fit in with the Pokemon that I couldn't quite get there.
I tried to break it into shapes because that seems to be a lot of the designs are silhouette strength and like being able to identify it, like at the end of the Pokemon episodes where they would ask who's that Pokemon and show you the silhouette. Yeah. So it should be silhouette identifiable. But I just kind of doodled the purple opossum in for a joke. And then everyone was like, you should do the opossum. And I was like, okay. So I did.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's kind of neat because I also picked hummingbird. And so I didn't really put much thought into that one because I was just like, I want there to be a hummingbird Pokemon. Yeah. I've always loved hummingbirds because they're just very cool and their wings flap super fast. And I just like that. But I have one more. And I knew that no one was going to do this one because it's a terrible idea. I came up with this, I want to say 20 years ago or more. Like, I feel like I was in high school when I came up with this because my friend and I were sitting there. It's actually Marcus. If you've listened to the podcast for many, many years, he was on it a long, long time ago. But I was sitting there. We were talking about what for I think Gen 3, what are some type combinations they hadn't done yet? And one of them was fire and water. And so we sat there trying to think of a fire and water Pokemon. And so I fixated on this idea, and I've thought about it for many, many years. I want there to be a tube worm Pokemon.
Tube worm.
Yeah, like there's little tube worms that I think actually they can get quite large, but they live down at the bottom of the ocean around hydrothermal vents. And they just, I mean, I feel like that's perfect for like a fire-water combination where it is a creature that lives in water and can't get too close to that fire, but still lives in a tremendously hot environment. And so I didn't really think about too much about the overall design and shape of it because I was just thinking tube worm. But I did come up with a name, which was Rifty, which is not the best name, but it lives by like mid-ocean rifts.
Well, yeah, but there's a reason behind it, so it makes sense.
And the other thing that I thought of, especially since I feel like I came up with this idea around the third generation, is I thought it would be really neat if it lived in one of those underwater caves where you have to use the HM dive to get down to it. And I think Gen 3 might have been the only one that actually did that. But so tube worm Pokemon.
So the only thing I'm going to disagree with you about is when you said you think it's a terrible idea.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's like snail Pokemon. There's like slug Pokemon.
Yeah.
There's some real freaks out there.
It's just not a popular animal.
Yeah, but, well, I don't know. It not being a popular animal is like, I'm the wrong person to say that to, I think, because I like all of the animals everyone else hates.
Mm-hmm. On the whole, I feel like there should be more deep ocean Pokemon. Things that are basically alien to us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Whatever in the world a sea comb is supposed to be.
It's a comb for mermaids.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Everyone knows that.
But this was a fun exercise, and it brought me to two conclusions. One of them is that it's interesting which animals they haven't done, and two, they've done a lot of animals.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of animals. It's surprising how difficult it was to find animals they haven't done, keeping in mind, as apparently Justin said, there are Pokemon that are anything. Like there's a keychain Pokemon, there's a bell Pokemon, and so they not only did they cover every animal you want to do, they've also done inanimate objects you didn't want to do.
I'm not going to lie. It is surprising that they got to Bag of Garbage before they got to Moose.
Yeah.
So the reason that I love Moose, I have a sentimental familial attachment to Moose. There is a trophy moose head that exists in my aunt's house that was I think my great grandfather mounted this. And while I do not advocate hunting, I never knew this moose when it was alive, but knew it as the moose head that was there in my childhood on vacation. So I have kind of that attachment to that particular moose that I'm like, moose has to be one of my favorite animals. Anyway, the reason that I'm surprised that both of you picked moose as well is when I settled on it, I thought I'm kind of picking a more somehow mundane-ish animal that I thought maybe other people wouldn't have been attracted to doing. I was wrong.
My nickname in high school was Moose.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, we're all connected to Moose, turns out.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I feel like it's one of the iconic North American megafauna. And
yeah, that makes sense.
Because, I mean, we've got like 2 different buffalo or bison or whatever Taurus and Buffalant is supposed to be.
Yeah.
I remember Taurus.
Yeah. Buffalant, I guess, would probably be a buffalo, but but the point is that we got 2 of those guys.
Yeah.
I am also familiar with a Pokemon that I'm not a big fan of. I hope this doesn't offend anyone. Called Miltank.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that one.
I'm not attached to Miltank, but
I love Miltank. She's
a cow.
She can hang.
I have a lot of bad memories about Miltank because of the third Pokemon gym, and yeah, exactly. Goldenrod City. Well, this was a lot of fun. I feel like if I had a lot of time, I could really sit down and like dive into something like this. And clearly people are passionate about it because there's what was it called? Fakeamon or something?
Yeah, Fakemon.
Well, it's Fakemon, and I just feel like I have to pronounce it closer to Pokemon. But I just, when I discovered that that's like, I don't know if it's a community, but it is an internet trend at least, that I wanted to give a shout out to because it's an art trend that I like giving shout outs to artists. So
there's a lot of folks that make like regional Pokedexes. Like they'll settle on an idea of like Australia Pokedex, and they'll design a whole Pokedex of Pokemon based on that idea. So it's just cool. I love that.
Yeah, I liked this. The thing I didn't do, I went as far as deciding that Maxitus is a fighting ground type. I didn't go in and figure out what moves it has or what stats it would have because I do not understand any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I liked this. This reminded me of one time a long time ago we talked about like combining 2 animals and making wacky animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always remember that Allie was on the episode that we designed our own Pokemon gyms.
Yeah, that's right.
The more vague and less scientific topics, but I do enjoy them.
Art is science.
That's true.
That's why Steam.
That's why Steam?
What?
Yeah, it's STEM with the A for art.
Oh, yeah. I got you. I'm with you now.
Oh. Well, listeners, let us know what your moose Pokemon is. And also what animals, or I don't know, what custom Pokemon you have come up with and tell us about them.
If you've posted them online, send us links.
I like seeing them, turns out.
Yeah, they're actually pretty cool.
So if you have thoughts on that or anything else to share with us, you can email us at feedback@vaguelyscientific.com, or you can also comment on our blog on our website, or you can like us on Facebook, or you can comment on the YouTube stream. Anyway, hey, Jim, where do we get all these wacky questions?
We get them from you, the listener. And if you have a question that needs to be answered in a vaguely scientific manner, please email us at questions@vaguelyscientific.com. If you want to get our episodes the minute that they're released, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and all the other cool places where podcasts hang out. And subscribing and leaving feedback really helps us out, and so does telling your friends.
Especially if your friends also have custom-made Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, please tell your friends.
Our vaguely musical intro is composed by Anthony Pizzelli. And don't forget to check out our merch store over at vaguelyscientific.threadless.com. All kinds of really great stuff on there. You can get a great t-shirt for all the heat waves that we've been having lately.
Oh.
Or a shower curtain for all those showers you have to take because it's so hot you sweat through all your shirts.
What a great
That's a great selling point.
Bit of copy there, Jim. I commend
Maybe
you.
I should just type something up that I read every time instead of making it up as I go.
You've been doing a good job. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I always type up, this is behind the scenes to the listeners, I always panic and think I'm gonna not be able to improvise, so I over-prepare and write myself little speeches, and I actually should stop doing. But anyway, thank you to Allie for coming back and talking to us.
Hey, thank you guys for having me back and for doing a little creative question with me.
Yeah, I loved the suggestion. I genuinely, when you suggested it, I was like, I feel like maybe I'll do it later because I won't have time. And then I just did it yesterday before recording this episode. And I was like, no, I had inspiration. So there we go.
I'm so glad.
For Vaguely Scientific, I am Derek.
I'm Jim.
I am Allie.
And the dish ran away with the spoon.
Toodaloo, everyone, and
no.
spoon.
I need something to put my food on now.
A spork.
Well, I can eat it with a spork, but the dish is gone. I can use a bowl.
Oh, right,
I
yeah.
guess.
Well, you could use maybe a saucer.
Oh, I like saucers.
Insects. Jeez, why? I'm making a good point. Go away. I'm cooking.
There's your stinger right there.
Yep.